Yeah, I got it.
Hi, and welcome to the SEO Podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burris, owner of eWebStyle.
I'm Charles Lewis, your Internet Marketing Specialist.
Well, we're going to have to change that intro next week.
Yeah, I know.
Sign behind us and all that good stuff. Yeah. Welcome to another fun-filled edition of our podcast. This is podcast number 288. As always, there is a tip from our previous podcast, and that tip is, when possible, add emotion to your calls to action. We call them CTAs around here in the lingo.
Well, what people don't understand is that usually anytime you're in a sales position or you're trying to get someone to make a decision, if it's buy a product or subscribe or download this or whatever, 9 times out of 10 that decision is based off emotion. Right? Either some fear of missing out, some, oh my God, I love this, I gotta have it, or it's going, I'm gonna be suck if I don't get it. Whatever it is, it's usually driven by emotion. And so if you can include that type of emotion in your call to action, like, I don't know, get this while supplies last, or don't be the one to not have this, or be the coolest kid on your block with these newest shoes, whatever your CTA is, if you can tie in that emotion, you should see an increase in your conversions.
They also always say decisions are made first emotionally, and then you go through the process of justifying it after the fact. So you can change the emotions a little bit after. Hey, we are broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and we are your friendly local neighborhood top position snatchers. And our mantra is,
don't be a douche.
It is, don't be a douche. Hey, we've got a really good article for you today, and that article is...
Man, I want to give a punch in the face to Chuck Price, man.
Boom, you hit him up before we started, right?
Yes, I did. I tweeted him in, and good guys over at Search Engine Watch. He says, protect it or lose it. 7 tips for maintaining your brand's reputation.
Ooh, brand reputation.
Talking reputation today. I thought you would have caught that in the little podcast intro.
I was busy. You don't know how much energy and focus I had to put for snapping a tempo. It is not natural. By the way, what we're talking about is before each podcast, we actually do a sound check, and Charles does an improv rap. And
it's called a freestyle.
Yeah, it's called a freestyle. I come from the world of improv comedy.
Improv rap. Yeah,
if I did it, it would be called the improv rap, and it would suck. When he does it, it's called a freestyle,
and it's usually pretty cool.
Yeah, and it covers a little bit about what we're talking about. And so those are up on something. And we should know. So we've got a great article today. If you're in a position to, you have some sort of electrical device, please tweet now. Chuck's showing you an example. By the way, we do broadcast the video live on Fridays, and you can find the video on our YouTube page, youtube.com/eWebStyle.
And when you tweet us, be sure to tweet us at eWebStyle, at Best SEO Podcast. Use the hashtag SEO Podcast. This is number 288. And like I said, tag us in it. That way we can follow you back and do all of our social networking stuff.
Excellent. Hey, if this is the first time you've listened to our podcast, howdy, welcome to the podcast. This is the potatoes of the podcast. We just gave you a teaser about the meat of the podcast. We'll be getting to it soon. If you've listened to our podcast before, you know what it means when I say we are going to skip the next section. And what it means is anytime we get 10 or more followers, likes, whatever, depends on the platform, on our G+, or our Twitter, or our Instagram, or our Facebook pages, and a review, then we skip the explanation somewhat.
No, of how you can leave us a review.
It's not lengthy. It's just, we just skip it, right? So it's kind of fun. We keep track of that. What we will do is tell you how you can haunt us or stalk us, because we do like to be haunted and stalked. And so those ways are facebook.com/
Well, first off, I prefer to be liked and followed.
Haunted
and stalked.
But you can be haunted and stalked. It's kind of like improv rap, or improv intro, and then
you can hunt, stalk him. You can subscribe, like, and follow me. Perfect.
Cool. And so there are a bunch of places and pages to do that. Facebook.com/
eWebStyle.
YouTube.com/
eWebStyle.
Instagram.com/
eWebStyle.
And Twitter.com/
eWebResults. I was testing.
Just
trying to see how that.
It's got a lot more emphasis. It's gonna really pop.
eWebStyle for now, though.
Hey, if you're a PHP genius or WordPress guru, anything in that nature, we're probably looking for you. Go ahead and submit an audio resume, 713-510-7846, if you are interested in a website analysis. And man, I've been cranking them out this week, right?
I've heard you.
Back to back to back. go ahead and go to our website, e-webstyle.com. It's easiest if you just click any internal page, and then I got a good punch in the face for Ibrahim out of Australia about that. But click any page on our site, and you will find on the right sidebar, you will find a link to our website analysis form. Do we have any cat algo?
Yeah, that's my algo cat.
It is time for the favorite segment of the podcast, the algorithm cataclysm. Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, that's pretty good cat. This may be worth that type of cataclysm on the Richter scale. So remember, Google had already rolled out showing Twitter results,
right,
and searching the results, but they had only done it for mobile. And so on mobile devices, then you'll see a Twitter carousel showing you tweets or users based off of whatever search query you did.
Right.
Or they just officially rolled that out to desktop.
Okay, wow.
And so now it's official.
Have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
So I saw it once, and then of course I looked at the screenshot on the example as well that I saw, but I have seen it once.
Okay.
Now, ironically, I've done probably, 500 searches today, you know, for various terms, and I've only seen it once. And so,
it's a light day, 500 searches, right?
I know, yeah. So I don't know if it's predicated on a specific type of search query, or the bigger the brand, or I'm not sure what part of the cataclysm triggers that Twitter ad to show.
Right.
Because technically, Twitter ads should probably always show, because there's always some sort of Twitter activity about something. You know, and so you would think that there should always be some sort of result from Twitter down there.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's even related to, if there's enough activity regarding that subject on Twitter,
then if it's just one or two posts
in the last day. No, if it's one or two posts
if
in the last
trending,
there you go.
Definitely
interesting. That's
probably what
if they hired me, then that would be my recommendation. So. Cool, that's our algorithm cataclysm. All right, so I do have a little bit of news. I thought this was interesting. Facebook hit 1 billion users in one day.
Wow. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I was August 24th.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming that was, I'm going to tell you who that had to be. I can tell you exactly who that had to be, the combination of people that made Facebook hit that.
You're right. I'm with you.
Teachers.
Yeah.
It was school teachers
and
parents.
And
everybody going back to
school.
I saw so many posts of kids and teachers and schools and school events.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I guarantee you it was back to school that caused that.
So it was kind of cool. We're crossing the freeway, dropping the kids off this morning, and the crossing guard is like, "Hey, he's famous," points to my son. Right? He had worn a tie. He decided to wear a tie the day before. The principal had a tie, so took a selfie with my son in a tie. It was up on Facebook. He's like, "He's famous."
Wow,
in the school.
Crossing guard noticed him.
Yeah, and then of course my daughter was like, "Did they say me?" I was like, "Not yet. You got to get a picture taken." Yeah. Yes, that's the only way I want to see you. Lots of attention. This was interesting. So the United Union is always kind of harassing Google, and they had said that one of their latest claims is that Google Merchant, right, where you've got the ads for products across the top, is actually unfair. And I think somebody's bringing a case, and Google was like, no.
Oh yeah, they shut them down. Like,
no, that's not going to happen. And one of the things you're saying is
we just fought for one of our clients to get that approved. I'm gonna need y'all to fall back.
we do not want you canceling that anytime because it's taken a while. I just thought it was an interesting combination because earlier this week I had read an article about Google being able to manipulate election results, right? So the premise of that article was, and they actually did some studies where they had a mock Google and presented, and this was in India for a particular election, and they were able to swing people like 12%.
Oh, based off of search results.
So if you're undecided, guess what? We all believe, and it's really also a great testament to how much we believe higher results are more credible, right? So if you just do presidential candidates and make sure XYZ candidate is first,
number one and number two,
the other one is number two, then boom, he must be more credible. Wow, now that's crazy, right?
It is, but it's not.
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense, but then when you look at media, how the media already really dictates what we believe in, the things we see anyway, this is just another form of that.
Yeah.
It's just online instead of on the TV.
I mentioned that in the context of, Google's making their arguments. The one person who is upset, one company that is upset about Google Merchant, they're like, well, look, you've got Amazon and they're represented, and you got people do searches on Amazon, and actually your traffic has increased, and they just did all of this stuff. And it's all really kind of proof to the politicians. Now you combine that with an ability to put the particular election official in the position that they want, all of a sudden they don't have to be making as much of an argument.
Yeah, Google me.
Yeah. It's just pretty interesting how that can all start playing. So
what that really means is politicians contact us. We can build your site and optimize it, and get you ranked #1
on Google.
I don't know about probably not this election season, because it's gonna take a while, but yeah, we could do it. How long would that take to rank for presidential candidate?
Man. And then my final piece of news was Uber hires the Jeep hackers.
Oh,
remember the guys who had like Uber hires them?
Makes sense. Like, dude, y'all can probably help us.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah, well, Uber's working on self-driving vehicles as well. Just like apparently, by the way, we're going to start our project on Monday. Yeah, because everyone else is. We should do our own self-driving vehicle.
Yeah, and mine is going to be easy. You only need one route. I'm trying to get home.
You can just get me home from here without having to think.
I'd rather us be spending time working on a teleportation device.
Yeah.
So I just won't have to sit in traffic.
Yeah. You just roll out of bed into the teleportation machine. Boom.
Yeah. I'd like select my outfit, select all that.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get here, I've eaten breakfast. I'm dressed. Everything is.
Insert breakfast on the road. Yeah.
All that.
Back to work. Excellent. So you
got some news too as well. Yeah. So you were talking Facebook. Let's talk Instagram. They rolled out that extremely important feature, and I'm so glad they did it. Now they have landscape view available.
Okay, I saw that.
Instagram was all portrait, and which sucked because if you took your pictures landscape, then somebody's getting cropped out. It's just what it is. I'm not getting this whole picture. I got to crop it. Same thing with the selfie. It's in portrait. You all on the end, might not make it.
Yeah, it's not happening.
And so now with the landscape view, you don't have to do that no more. Ironically, those third-party apps that were being used to accomplish that, it's tight on y'all. Y'all gonna need to figure out another way to stay relevant. Because they can do it now. And my last piece of news was so they updated the search. ComScore updated search usability in July 2015, and the new numbers are Google controls 65%.
Wow.
Bing is 33%.
Really? Huh.
And then the rest is, Yahoo, AOL, and
also,
a whole bunch of referral
also played. Yeah.
Exactly. That was it. I got a couple of tips.
Cool. Yeah, let me start with this petiff. I mentioned him earlier. Ibrahim out of Australia. He sent us a note, and I think we may have mentioned him. No, he sent us a note saying that our website, the menu button on Apple devices, was not working. Thank you. We got it working, and
navigate really?
Yeah, the navigation on Apple devices. So we got that fixing. Punch in the face to you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Apple devices.
Next,
Android. Right.
This is a petiff for Lionel Gress. He's out of Switzerland. I spoke with him this morning, actually. He's with Nelsoft, and we had a great conversation. He's a podcast listener, and the thing that impressed me most about him is when we started the conversation, he was like, look, I've got young kids. They're here. I'm taking care of them right now, so there may be a little noise, a little eating, whatever. They fell asleep in his lap while he was talking.
Wow.
I've never been able to. I've been in that situation where I'm on the phone with my kids around.
They never just went to sleep.
Never gone to sleep. I can tell you that. You've got punch in the face.
Impressive.
That's impressive. Punch in the face to you. And then finally, Ross Collins with AirsoftMegastore.com.
Airsoft Megastore.
He's like it totally.
Airsoft was like air mattresses.
No, it's guns that are like pellet guns.
Okay,
air guns. Yeah, there you go.
I had one of those that shot pellets, darts, and BBs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably killed 9 crows.
Hurt stuff I didn't need to, and it was fun. And
I was 15.
That's what you do when you're 15. I remember one time I had a BB gun and I shot a bird, and the bird did a death spiral. I was like, oh man. And he landed, and he was okay. Like, there's no blood. It just knocked him unconscious.
Wow, your reaction was totally different from ours.
You were just like, dude, just step on it.
No, so we were shooting pears in a pear tree,
right?
Aiming at the pears, just ruining the fruit, by the way. Right. But and then accidentally hit a bird.
Right.
And the bird dropped. My cousin was like, "Woo!
That's awesome! So, get another one." Yeah.
Let's shoot birds now. No more pears.
Yeah, the pears don't move. They don't. They swing back and forth. So
yeah, totally different reaction.
Let's hit your tips, and then I got a review. So
man, so I want to give a punch in the face to Chris A. Hit us up on Twitter. He's a dynamic_DIGI. He says a hashtag SEO podcast at eWebstyle. Good podcast. We'll tune in often now. Hashtag punch me in the face. Hashtag kindly. Yeah, there you go. Punch in the face, man. Appreciate you, Chris A, for tuning in. That's what I got.
Excellent. So I got a review. This review is from Adam Goldsmith, and it's pretty cool. I've been talking to him for a while. He owns a dental practice. His review was, of course, 5 stars. It says double eye gouge and face rake to Chris and Charles for putting double eye gouge and face rake to Chris and Charles for putting on an extremely entertaining, more importantly, supremely educational SEO SEM podcast.
Supremely educational.
I've been a listener for over a year and an online marketer for over 6 years and wouldn't dare miss an episode. The meat of the podcast, where the most current SEM and SEO and SEM articles are curated by this team, is extremely practical and informative. I've seen firsthand how their information, insight, and pro tips have helped my business directly.
Wow.
Thank you guys for all of your awesome content, and I wish only more much deserved success. Punch in the face, Mr. Goldsmith.
Dude, punch in the face, Adam Goldsmith. That's what's up. Hold on, go back to one. You said supremely educational?
So we've got, more importantly, supremely educational.
Dude, that's awesome.
Extremely entertaining, and more importantly, supremely educational. I think we need to cut that out.
Yeah, put that somewhere. Extremely entertaining and supremely educational.
Yeah.
Dude, that's our new tagline for the podcast. Those 4 words.
It's no longer don't be a douche. It's supremely educational. No. I got extremely entertaining and supremely educational.
Yeah.
All right, that is the potatoes of our podcast. Time to get into the meat.
Good potatoes. So like I said, man, punch in the face to Chuck Price and the good guys over at Search Engine Watch.
He didn't say gentle, so I'm actually letting them have it.
Yeah. He posted this article, Protect It or Lose It, 7 tips for maintaining your brand reputation. 7 tips, and I think it's important to explain why that's important, right? Because in this day and age of reviews, matter of fact, the stat is that 88% of all people who make some sort of online purchasing decision will look at reviews first, whether it's a product or a service. So with that being said, it is extremely important that you manage your brand's reputation, the reputation of your brand itself, the reputation of how your products and or services perform and act, the reputation of your customer service. Kind of like Comcast, right? Like I use Comcast for my bundle, which they tax me every month.
Yeah.
And I love the internet. Comcast internet is extremely fast. It's really good at home. It's faster than Uverse. I hate their customer service. Oh my God. It's like I'd rather give my own self a root canal with no anesthetic than call Comcast.
That's tweetable.
Like seriously, I'd rather do that.
So the only thing, it goes right up to this edge. The only thing that I'm not willing to do instead of call Comcast is go without internet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because if we were right at that threshold, I would just go without.
Or even that, or half so internet. Because I could just go back to Uverse. Because preferably I prefer Uverse's cable and phone over Comcast.
Yeah.
But I would do internet marketing. I'm a techie and I need really, really fast internet.
Yep.
And for that reason, you put up with the sucky customer service. So I said all that to say that's one of those reasons why maintaining your brand is extremely important. Furthermore, when things happen, negative reviews or positive reviews or whatever it is, you really want to be the first person to know about it. So that way you can react accordingly, that way you can promote it accordingly, or whatever you have to do. So let's get into the article. Chuck Price, Protect It or Lose It, 7 tips for maintaining your brand's reputation. Number 1, he says be proactive. Monitor with Google Alerts. Duh, old school tip. We've been giving that one for the longest, and it still works.
It's why we're working together.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah.
Exactly. So he says if there's a discussion or review of your brand, you will know about it and you'll be able to react in a timely fashion. He's absolutely right. So here's what you do: Google.com/alerts. Go there, log in with your Gmail account, and set up alerts. What should you set up these alerts for? Glad you asked.
Great question.
One, for your brand name, right? And I would probably set that one daily. So at the end of every day, you get an email of the latest post or activity that happened online that mentioned your brand name, right? Then you should set up some other alerts, which he didn't mention, which I'll give to you now. This is how we kind of add value, right? I would create alerts for your main product. Create alerts for your main service. Depending on the nature of your business and your industry, create alerts for your competitors. And so that way, and you would probably want to set those like weekly. You don't need to necessarily get those daily, depending on what your product is. Right? You may need to know daily what's going on so you can make adjustments. But at the very least, weekly, so you can see who's talking about it, who's tried something similar, and you can see what your competitors are doing. Google Alerts is free and it works.
How about the owner of the business?
Oh yeah, well, for your particular names. If you got people in your business who do a lot of promotion, a lot of PR, people who people may recognize by name, then definitely set up alerts for those names. Definitely set up alerts for those names, so that way you can see what type of activity is happening online for all of those things. Easiest way to manage the brand is simply have Google send you the latest updates. Google Alerts. Number 2, he says, and I like this one, he says, have a plan in the event of a crisis. And he's talking about maintaining your brand reputation. Have a plan in the event of a crisis. He goes on to say, in the event of a crisis, you need a communication plan. It's the type of plan he's talking about. And he's absolutely right. You need something that's, then this is what I'm adding, you need something that's well-crafted, yet personal. And I'd add this, if you can determine an offer to include with that, then that'll make it better. So real example, somebody goes up and slanders your company and says, oh, these guys suck and this is why they suck. Right?
Comcast as an example.
Comcast as an example. Then Comcast needs a plan. They need to come at me with some well-crafted statement. Oh, Mr. Lewis, you've been paying us for 12 months and you're always on time. We appreciate you. And I'm sorry you're having this experience dealing with one of our reps. We'll deal with them accordingly. In the meantime, please accept this free HBO or this free NFL package.
Hint, hint.
At Comcast Bonnie. I did that because if it works right, our podcast will get transcribed, to get posted. She'll get that Google alert I'm talking about. And maybe I'll get me some free NFL network because customer service does suck. But in the event of a crisis, right? Somebody posting something negative, somebody saying something negative about your company or your product, put a plan in place. Make sure everyone on your staff, whoever is in control of social media, who's ever sending out your newsletter, who's ever answering the phones, make sure they're all aware of the crisis at hand. Make sure they all know what the follow-up verbiage is to say. Make sure everyone is on point with what the offer is. And so that way, as you guys begin to deal with that, everyone can be consistent in their messaging. Make a plan in the event of a crisis, as it's pretty important. Number 3, he says, get mentioned by the mainstream media. Awesome tip. He says having a PR strategy goes a long way in building and protecting your brand. He also says that the key is to have a compelling and timely story to tell when you do reach out. He's right. At the end of the day, anytime you can get mentioned by mainstream media is going to help your brand. It's going to help you on both sides of the fence. One side, just from a user perspective, people recognize big media agencies. They'll recognize your brand. And anytime you can create some synergy there, is going to be good for you. You're going to get more visibility, period. From an SEO perspective, you can get a link from that big brand to your site where you talked about that event, that article. Now you have a pretty valuable link coming from your site, which will do nothing but help you. And so anytime you can get mentioned by the mainstream media. Now, it wouldn't be right if I didn't tell them how to get mentioned by the mainstream media. Pro tip, have some events. There are several times in the year where you can create events, host them locally, especially if you have a brick and mortar location, that you can invite the mainstream media to. By the way, it's really easy to invite mainstream media. all journalists, all news anchors, they're all on Twitter, they're all on Facebook, they all publicly and promote their Twitter names. Right. So if you, let's say it's back to school time, maybe you're having a back to school event and you got 100 kids you want to sponsor, you're giving away school supplies and this and that, school clothes, shoes, whatnot. Go ahead and tweet your favorite news anchors, send them a link to this event and ask them to come. If you tweet 4 of them, 1 of them will probably say okay.
Right. And as long as it's a slow news day.
As long as it's a slow news day. And then you
counteract it. If it's a slow news day, they may all 4 show up.
And so take advantage of that. We're going to have our blast at 8 p.m. Right? It's not during the 5 o'clock news. It's not during the morning news. It's
between,
It's when they're actually out looking for the news.
Yeah.
And so do it at that time. Or you may want to do something Thanksgiving, giving away free food, turkeys, or feeding the homeless, or Christmas, giving gifts to underprivileged kids and things like that. These are all types of events that don't cost a lot of money.
Right.
And you can even get people to donate and maybe bring in some affiliates. Then you guys can all benefit of that media attention. But do some events, invite the media out, and that's the best way to get featured and to get mentioned by mainstream media. Definitely. Number 4. He says own page 1. He's talking about the search result. Own page 1. And again, we're talking about protect it or lose it. 7 tips for maintaining your brand's reputation. He says owning page 1 can help you maintain your brand's reputation. He says have all positive mentions of your brand on the first page of the search results. Well, how do you do that? You can hire us. No, but for real, how do you do that? What you have to do is you have to have consistent NAP. is how you do that. If your brand is mentioned across everything, Yelp, Google Plus, Angie's List, City Search, your website, Bing Local, Yahoo Local, as long as your site is there, your company's there, and your brand is consistent. Go ahead.
I got a pro tip, right? So make sure that your NAP for your domain registration
it's down to that level.
Yeah.
Down to that level. Yeah, when they go look at the who is on your domain registration, those registration, technical and administrative details.
And how close does the name, address, and phone number need to be? It's
exact.
Exact.
If you use parentheses, use parentheses. If you use sweet dot, then use sweet dot. If you use a pound sign, use the pound sign. You know, everywhere.
Not somewhere, everywhere.
And if you do that, then that's one of the ways you can begin to own page 1 when anybody searches for your brand.
Generate positive reviews on multiple platforms.
Exactly. Which is kind of what he goes into the next one. Number 5, he says create business and social networking profiles. Business and social networking profiles, right? He says the goal is to get social media profiles ranked on page 1 for branded searches. And we just talked about Twitter results now showing in Google search results for branded searches. This becomes your line of defense against unflattering and I used to know this word.
Defamatory.
Defamatory.
There we go. Defamatory.
And it looks like a misspelling, but I guess that's probably right. Defamatory attacks. Yeah, you want to make sure that basically your information is showing up above theirs. Right. So if somebody goes to Google right now, you can test it, who's ever watching or listening. If you go do a search for eWeb style, we're going to own page 1. You're going to see our site first. You'll likely see one of our internal pages second. You'll see our local listing third. You're going to see Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram below that. And then you'll likely see a couple YouTube videos.
Maybe some Ustream.
Maybe a link to the podcast. Because we went on page 2 as well.
Yeah.
And so, which we should, right? It's our brand name, which you should for your brand name. And so make sure that you have consistent NAP and you set up these social networking profiles. And so that way you can own page 1 and really have the profiles in place. I'll say post frequently. I'll add that to that. It's more than just setting up all these social profiles and everything and having a consistent NAP there. You need to post. Right? How many Google Plus pages you seen with no posts?
None.
Or how many Twitter's accounts that you've seen that have 3 followers and no post? Right? You have to post, other it's not going to show. We were just talking about that. You're probably right in regards to what part of the algorithm triggers the Twitter results to show. If they're not trending and they had no activity, then why it's not a good result to show from Google.
Twitter,
Exactly. Twitter so you definitely want to post. Number six. Number 6, he says, pay attention to details. Again, we're talking about 7 tips for maintaining your brand's reputation. He says, pay attention to details. He says, never copy and paste the same profile description or bio on multiple websites. Chuck Price, I get it, but I'm going to disagree slightly. I understand that they probably shouldn't be identical, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with similar verbiage.
Yeah.
I just think as long as you're smart enough to kind of change the action. For example, I could say, if this is my Twitter bio, follow us for great tips on internet marketing.
Yeah.
Right? If this was our Facebook bio, I would say, like us and get great tips on internet marketing. This is YouTube. Right? Subscribe to us for videos about great tips for marketing.
Right.
So it's the same content, but we've changed the CTA some. And so I would say that I think it's okay to use a similar bio, because at the end of the day, you are what you are, and it is what you do. It's only so many ways you can change what you actually do. But I think the key is changing the action you want people to take on that specific profile. Right. Nobody's gonna follow you on YouTube. They're not gonna subscribe to you on Twitter. Right. So use the right CTAs.
Right.
Last one he says is number 7. He says leverage the Small Business Administration. First off, punch in the face to you, Chuck, for giving this pro tip in your article.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't you teach at the Small Business Administration?
Yes, I do. I teach at the University of Houston Small Business Development Center. Yeah. And so he's saying use the SBA, which they're kind of tied into the SBA.
Right.
He says if your company is American, the SBA offers business owners the opportunity to publish a business profile at SBA.gov. He says that profile isn't indexed by Google, but discussion topics are. So what does that mean? You go to SBA.gov, create a profile for your business. It's not indexable, but the link is there. More importantly, now you can start creating a discussion. And that discussion is indexable. That discussion will rank. That discussion will show up in the Google search result. You got to make sure you're adding value, which is what I added, because I'm familiar with the SBA.
There's a phrase for that. Adding value. Don't
be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
Yeah, you can't create no forum post and just try to SEO it and spam it full of nonsense. It's not going to work. They're not going to prove it, and they may even delete your profile.
Add value.
Yeah, if you want to post something that literally helps people, because at the end of the day, you're managing your brand. You understand that? And so anytime you can put content out that literally helping people, that's by all means helping your brand look better. So his takeaway was once your reputation takes a hit, it's extremely difficult to recover. And so it's worth taking that time to protect it. And he's right. He's absolutely right about that, which is one of the things we do is we try to protect people's brands. So depending on what level of package you come in on us, not only will we go out and pursue some positive reviews, but during that process, we ask a series of survey questions.
Right.
The reason we do that is so when you're talking to your existing client base, if they answer any of those survey questions the wrong way, then it gives us the opportunity to contact our business owner,
right,
and they can rectify that situation. They can come up with that well-crafted response I talked about earlier.
Right.
We'll already have the offer in place, and so we can follow up accordingly. More importantly, we prevented them from leaving a negative review.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest deal. You have to be proactive from it. Now, with that, I'm going to give another pro tip, and this one came, I should have wrote his name down, the first comment in the article.
Okay,
Dude, an awesome tip.
Sometimes there's great stuff in those.
In the comments, and so it's worth sharing. He went on to talk about writing content for a negative type search that will support your brand. And I was like, what do you mean? So then he said, so let's say maybe you're in an industry that's synonymous with people getting screwed.
Right.
And so maybe you want to write a page and optimize it for, I don't know, e-web style scam, just for example, right? And then on this page, you talk about how e-web style provides the best service and we prevent you from being scammed, right? Or warning, or fraud, or any of these other kind of negative words. He says, go ahead and create that content that supports your business, optimize that page so it highlights you.
Yep.
And that way, when people begin to search for that, hopefully they don't, but if they do, you have a page that'll likely outrank whatever they post.
Yep, whatever they think they're looking for.
Whatever they think they're looking for, your page is going to come up and show why they should use you. So I thought
great
that was
idea.
a great
That's
tip.
A pro tip.
Yeah, great tip. So definitely write some content that would rank for a negative search. So man, punch in the face, dude. Chuck Price, great article. Protect it or lose it. 7 tips for maintaining your brand's reputation.
Excellent. Really good stuff. Thank you, Chuck. Or Chucks. Do we have any what? Or
Nope. No blank stare rules. No what?
No blank stare news. All right. So that wraps up the meat of our podcast. If you're looking to grow your business with the largest, simplest marketing tool on the planet,
the internet,
call eWebStyle. Man, that's going to change soon. Yeah. Call eWebStyle for increased revenue in your business. Our phone number is 713-592-6724. If you have a referral, so somebody that you might be working with who's interested in search engine optimization, send them our direction. We bring them on board. They pay their bill. We pay you. That's called a referral program. Remember, I am on Blog Talk Radio. You can get there. It's on Mondays from 7:30 to 8:30 Central Standard Time. And the website is creativebizIdeas.com. We were filmed live at 5999 West 34th Street, Suite 106, Houston, Texas 77092. We are the most popular internet marketing podcast because of all of you all.
Right there.
All around the world. Over 83 different countries have downloaded our podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Leave us a review if you can. Follow us on the stalking sites.
Everywhere. At eWebStyle, everything.
There you'll find it. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next podcast, my name's Chris Burres.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now.